Hello and welcome to How to Deal with Grief and Trauma. My name is Natalie Himmelrich. How to Deal with Grief and Trauma is completely self-funded, produced and edited by me, Natalie Himmelrich. Consider making a small donation to support the podcast. Go to bit.ly/support, capital G, capital T, and podcast. I repeat, bit.ly/supportgt podcast. Thank you so much. And for more information, please visit Natalie's website, join the podcast Instagram page, and subscribe to the newsletter to receive updates on future episodes. Welcome to this special series on the many faces of trauma. In each episode, we'll explore one trauma type in a clear, gentle way, what it is, how it can show up in daily life, and one small step that can help your nervous system feel a little safer. Nothing here is meant to diagnose you, and you're always invited to take what fits and leave the rest. And because this is trauma work, we'll end every episode with a short grounding practice you can do anywhere. Today we're talking about a trauma pathway that often gets overlooked, when the environment itself becomes the threat. Chronic stress without an exit. This will be general and non-graphic, but it can feel close to home. Again, and as always, you're welcome to pause, take breaks, and come back later. Why this type of trauma is easy to miss. When people think of trauma, they often think of a single incident, a moment where something happened. But for many people, the trauma pathway isn't one moment, it's a context. It's living in a condition where your system keeps thinking, I have to stay on, or I can't rest, or if I relax, things will fall apart, or there is no safe way out. And because it can look normal from the outside, for example, working, parenting, caregiving, staying afloat, this kind of trauma is often minimized, even by the person living it. They'll say, it's just life, but the body may be living in chronic protection. So this episode is about naming that clearly and offering a gentle map back towards safety. So what is chronic stress without an exit? We'll start with a simple definition. Chronic stress without an exit happens when a person is exposed to ongoing threat, pressure, or instability and cannot realistically escape, change, or recover, so the nervous system stays in survival mode. And the without an exit part matters. So this can include situations like ongoing caregiving without enough support, financial insecurity and constant scarcity, unstable housing or unsafe neighborhoods, chronic workplace toxicity where leaving isn't possible, living with ongoing conflict in the home, discrimination and daily vigilance. We'll cover this more in later episodes. Legal administrative uncertainty, chronic illness, especially when care is hard to access, or any long-term situation where your body learns, I have to endure. Sometimes the threat is external, sometimes it's just a constant pressure, and sometimes it's uncertainty. But the nervous system reads it as no safe off switch. So imagine someone who is caring for a family member while also trying to keep a job, manage finances, and hold the household together. There's no dramatic event, no single moment. It's just ongoing. They're praised for being strong. They're the responsible one. They handle it. But their sleep is shallow. Their jaw hurts from clenching. They're irritable at small things and then feel guilty. Their body feels tired, but their mind can't stop. When someone suggests self-care, they feel almost angry. When? How? With what time? That's chronic stress without an exit. a nervous system that never truly gets to come back to baseline. So let's have a look through a polyvagal lens and what happens when the on switch gets stuck. From a polyvagal-informed lens, this makes a lot of sense. When stress is chronic, the system can get biased toward protection. So mobilized protection becomes default. This can show up as constant scanning, an urgency and over-responsibility. Can show up as irritability, anxiety, difficulty sleeping or winding down, and feeling wired tired. Over time, if mobilization doesn't get relief, the system may slide into shutdown protection. And this can show up as numbness, fog, low motivation, a disconnection from pleasure, collapse, fatigue, and a feeling of I can't. And some people cycle. They're pushing hard, then crashing. They're doing, and then shutting down. This cycle is not a personal failing. It's what happens when the nervous system is asked to survive for too long without enough recovery. The invisible injuries and what it can look like. Because it is contextual, the symptoms can look like personality or burnout, but they're often nervous system patterns. In the body, they show up as chronic tension, headaches, gut issues, appetite changes, sleep disruption, fatigue that rest doesn't fix, or an increased sensitivity to sound or light. On the emotional level, it can show up as irritability, quick to overwhelm, feeling guilty for needing rest, a sense of numbness or flatness, and a low-level anxiety that feels constant. In relationships, these people often have less patience and more conflict. They might withdraw because there is no energy left. They show difficulty being present, even with loved ones. And there is resentment and shame cycles. On the meaning-making level, they might think, I have to do it all, or no one will help. If I stop, things will fall apart. There's no point. And again, as always, this is non-diagnostic. These are patterns, but they are very common. Let's have a look at what helps. So realistic points, not just relax. Because this is important. If you're living with chronic stress without an exit, telling you to do more self-care can just feel insulting. So what helps has to be realistic. So here are 5 gentle practical directions. 1. Micro recovery instead of big recovery. You may not have time for an hour, but you might have 60 seconds. And the nervous system learns from repetition. 2. Name what is true. This is a lot. I'm not lazy, I'm depleted. Naming reduces shame and helps you seek appropriate support. 3. Reduce load where possible. Even small load reductions matter. So, for example, 1 task dropped, 1 boundary, 1 no, 1 delegated item, or 1 simplified expectation. Number 4, build 1 dependable support. Again, this might be 1 person, 1 routine, 1 professional support, 1 community resource. And here, consistency is what your system is craving. 5. Create an island or islands of safety. This is a trauma-informed concept. Even inside a hard life, if we build small zones where the nervous system can exhale, that makes a lot of difference. It can be a chair by a window, a 5-minute walk, a hot drink, or a locked bathroom door, or and this is very important, a predictable bedtime cue. These aren't luxuries, they're regulation strategies. For today, I'm going to give you a varied grounding practice, which I call the 1-minute downshift. So this practice is designed for chronic stress. It's quick, discreet, and doable even when life is busy. Step 1, unclench. Unclench your jaw. Drop your shoulders by 1 centimeter. And soften your belly if you can. Step 2, take an extended exhale with a hum. Like inhale normally, and then exhale and add a gentle hum. This can be quiet and barely audible. Do this 3 times, and the hum can support the body's settling response without needing big effort. So let's do this another 2 times. Inhale normally. Do this regularly throughout the day. Step 3, 1 sentence of permission. Say softly to yourself, I'm allowed to have a small pause. Step 4, 1 tiny next step. Name 1 small thing that reduces load today. Could be a boundary, a glass of water, 2-minute stretch, asking for help, or choosing good enough. Let that be enough. The goal isn't perfect regulation. The goal is a small downshift. If you'd like support as you move through this series, check my website for the free resources offered for both those affected by trauma, grief, and loss, and those supporting them. In the next episode, we'll start looking at trauma shaped by society, beginning with discrimination and minority stress, and how chronic vigilance affects the nervous system. Until then, take good care.
Thanks for listening to How to Deal with Grief and Trauma. If you'd like to be updated on future episodes, please subscribe to my newsletter on nataliehimmelrich.com. If you need grief support, please contact me for a 30 minutes free discovery session. How to Deal with Grief and Trauma is produced and edited by me, Natalie Himmelrich. To support this podcast, please rate, review, and subscribe to or follow the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you. And remember to keep breathing. I promise it will get easier.